Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For those who don't know me, my name is Tom Coates, and welcome to the October 21st meeting, 2023 of Richmond Ions Community Group. I've gone through some life changes here lately, and I just can't even remember my script anymore. Anyway, welcome everyone. We're delighted to have you here. You know, since COVID came, we have not had that many people showing up in person. And we're delighted to have Nelson Marquina back because he always brings a big crowd, and we have a better crowd here than we usually do. And probably a better crowd online as well. As most of you know who have been coming to these meetings for over the years, ION stands for Institute of Noetic Sciences, and it is an organization that was founded by Edgar Mitchell, the lunar landing module pilot of Apollo 14 back in 1973. Edgar Mitchell, when he was on his way back to the moon, like many of like several of the guys who walked on the moon in the Apollo program, had his own takeaway. His was a unity consciousness experience as he saw the Earth as a pale blue dot in space when they were just starting back for it, and he was driven by that experience to dedicate the rest of his life to exploring the frontiers of consciousness, especially the interface between science and spirit. And he created. I think he had a PhD in aeronautical engineering in addition to being a Navy test pilot and all that, and an Apollo astronaut. And so he resigned his commission, or retired, I guess, was more appropriate, and he started IONS in July or so of 1973. And we've been proud to be an IONS community group ever since January 1996, getting ready to have our 28th anniversary here in a couple of months. And we have been blessed through the years to have wonderful local participation and also wonderful support from wonderful speakers from all over the planet, and some as far away as California, and I think we had one from Europe at one point.
Yes.
And so we also, at this point in our I was going to say in our career, at this point in our history, we are, I think, the longest continuously running IONS community group in the entire global network, and we certainly have more robust programs than any other IONS community group on the planet, as far as I know. And so we're very grateful for all that. We have, for those who are new to our meetings, we have on the table just inside the door, we have a stack of today's flyers. Anybody's welcome to take one. There's also a stack of flyers for our new first Wednesday of the month series in collaboration with Sanctuary of Earth, and that is coming up again the first Wednesday in November. That's on from 7 to 8:30 Eastern time. And we welcome all of you who'd like to join us there. They're very good programs. The focus on that, so to speak, is spiritual practice rather than just expanding knowledge. Come on in, Sharon. And so we would love to have you all join. That's a Zoom program only, and it has just so you won't get confused, it has a different Zoom meeting ID number and passcode than the one for this meeting. But it's a wonderful program, we welcome you to that. We also have what Robert Bushman started several months ago, our monthly book exchange. For those of you, many of us in this group have a few spiritual books hanging around that we might have read and gotten tired of and we want to give away. Of course, all of mine are such treasures, I don't want to give any of them away. But anyone is free to come to my house and take one if they want. But anyway, we have a book exchange. It's on the table just to the other side of the door as you come in, and so you're welcome to take a book. Anybody who has books they want to give away is welcome to bring them here and deposit them on the table and hope for the best that others will take them. And so, what else have we got going on? Anything I failed to mention, Mike? Oh, well, we operate solely on the donations and of our members here. Our members are whoever shows up. We have no exclusivity of who can be here and who cannot. And so all are welcome. We will pass a basket for a love offering during the meeting, and we invite you to reach deep into your wallet at the point where your heart meets your wallet and come up with whatever that leads you to put into the basket. And so we thank you for that.
Excuse me, Tom?
Yes.
To clarify, can we make a check out too?
Yes, you can make a check out, and you can make a check out to Richmond Ions.
You can.
That's all you need, and just put it in the basket, or give it to me personally. And also those who are online can pay. We have a PayPal function on our website, which you can make a payment through on that. And if you don't want to use PayPal, you can mail me a check to the address on my office address, which is on the transmittal email for all the monthly flyers. So there's no impediment hardly to making a contribution to our group. And anybody else got a suggestion or question? Okay. All right. Nelson, how much material have you got? Enough to cover? No. We'll do a very, very quick meditation before we introduce the speaker here. Oh yeah, Dan, you want to make an announcement about the event you were talking about?
Oh, sure.
Yes, so tomorrow at 4 p.m., Nancy and I are going to be doing a music meditation vibe raising event at Unity of Richmond at 4 p.m. tomorrow. And also, we're going to be doing a Celtic concert with a friend of ours who's coming back from Scotland, Colin McLeod, on November 15th at Unity of Richmond at 7 p.m.
November 15th?
Yeah.
What day of the week is that?
Wednesday.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, for those who've not met Colin McLeod, he's a wonderful guy. He's a very dynamic violin/fiddle player, and his personality is even larger than his musical skill. So that's going to be a wonderful event, I'm sure. All right, everybody, go ahead and just put your feet flat on the floor. Close your eyes. Open your hands. Open your heart. Turn your phones off, like I should have turned mine off. And take about 3 deep breaths. Let the love, gratitude, and appreciation for each of our lives well up within us. Let us open up to receive the encyclopedia of information that is about to be bestowed upon us by our speaker, in the way that best serves us, each of us and all. And when you're ready with that, you can go ahead and open it up. Now, our speaker today, Nelson Marquina, I think this is your fourth or fifth appearance before our group. He never runs out of brilliant things to tell us. And that's why when he is here, we always get a better crowd than we do with almost anyone else, as we have before us today. Nelson, as we put in the flyer, I think it was in 2020, gave us a talk on the upcoming anticipated concerns about 5G, right? And so now we have several years of actual experience with 5G, and Nelson has learned more about it and is going to tell us it's just great and we should sleep with it every night, I'm sure. Or maybe some variant of that. And so Nelson has got a resume too long for me to recite, but he is qualified as a scientist and known worldwide, speaks worldwide, and we are very blessed to have him as home base here in Richmond so that we can call upon him for periodic appearances in our group. And without further ado, welcome Nelson Marquina.
There now, thank you. I hope I'm sharing something not too controversial. The pictures that are here, no photographs. What is that?
Yeah, works.
Small. Okay. Well, my friends, you're in for a ride today. You won't believe what's going to happen. It's completely different than before in previous years. First time ever, I'm going to integrate multiple different fields in 4 hours.
We've got to dilate time.
I'm going to introduce a mystery element first. But this element, you can't see it. Nobody has seen one. Even though nobody has seen one at all, it permeates from way back from the Big Bang all the way to today. It's in your stomach, it's in your brains, in your skin, in your nails. Same element, it's a mystery element. Nobody has ever seen it. And it's all over the place. So we're going to talk about that element. It's so crucial to understand who we are as human beings. We had to go back in time to the beginning, the first few microseconds of the Big Bang. And that was the beginning of this element. And so crucial for physics, chemistry, physiology, genetics, nutrition, everything. Even the ability to think, by speaking right now, I'm using that element that has existed all the time, but nobody has seen it. We can see the effects of it, but we can't see it so far. We're getting close to it. You know, we have quantum tunneling microscopes and things like that. It's getting close to it, but not quite. And the way I look at it is that the good Lord, when she was creating the universe, she came up with the following idea, you know. He said, I think these human beings kind of to be inquisitive. I want to play the trick on them. It's a cosmic trick. And the trick is the following. They would always try to appear and be more smaller and smaller, and smaller and smaller, right? Like what's happening in science. We got to know from back in the 2,000-3,000 years ago, we learned about the human body from the outside. Because dissection was not allowed, was morally right. So we learned that surface anatomy and stuff like that. But the humans said, oh, we want to know inside there, what's inside. So eventually they managed to get inside. Oh, look at this, what is this? If you look at the anatomy pictures way back at the beginning, there was no concept of heart and stomach and all the connections, right? It was just different ways of morphology. It was back to the way we conceived the human body back then. Just being enriched with more information, more data. And so they were always doing that. Now we're looking at, back in the 1920s, we thought the atom was the smaller thing. In fact, atom is indivisible. That's it, no more than that. But then we started to have the ability to see that the atom is composed of more things inside. Oh, we have the protons and the neutrons and something that was orbiting around like little planets, right? They call the Bohr model. They would do like the planetary system that we have now. But then we get picking more and more what's going on. And then we found out the nucleus had some things inside there. So the good Lord was saying, you know what? Let's allow this human to be hungry to understand more the details. And that's the problem. We want more details, but we forgot understanding. That was the issue. So we kept picking more. Now we're looking at subatomic particles. Now we're looking at quarks and quantum and all these things. And then, what happens? We keep opening the doors. This door here, with more details. The next door, more details. You walk into the hallway, more doors and there, more details. And eventually, you find the door that we're almost close to it. Open the door, and there's nothing. We're very close to it. Very close. The Nobel Prize winners last month are the Nelson physics. They call the minute ways of measuring something with light. We're talking about giga, terabytes and all that, Atom way out there. It's getting close to it. But you see, it's going to happen. And I can almost predict it. And once you go into the next level, then eventually we're going to run into that mystery element I'm going to talk about today. Nothing. That's what it is. But it's all over the place. Isn't that funny? That is so essential element that nobody can see it. And it's ubiquitous. I haven't used that word in a long time. Ubiquitous, all over the place. It's right here. There you go. You see? You see it? Well, let's get on to it. I promised to Tom. Oh, just a little back. Something. Oh, yeah. Briefly. I'm from Lima, Peru, South America. I'm a Southern boy. Deep South. In fact, I was lucky enough because I grew up in a family that was very eclectic. Some of my uncle was a Buddhist, and then was a Hindu. One was an atheist, was a medical doctor, was the atheist. Anyway, one was wanted to become a priest. He was a Catholic, but he was going to become a priest in there. Anyway, so I was exposed to that. And one of the, we had a maid there, like many families there. The maid was from the mountains, native indigenous woman. And she practiced all sorts of shamanic type of activities. So for me, it was natural. I grew up because she was my nanny, and I said that was normal. That's what everybody does, right? Until I went to school to be civilized, and I found out that, wait a minute, I'm the oddball. So I kept quiet myself. I didn't want to talk about that thing, those things that she was doing at home. tarot cards and doing all this coca leaf reading and stuff like that. So anyway, time passed by. I kept thinking about things that's happening there. The idea of consciousness. Talk about 1973. I became a member of IONS in 1973, by the way. I was a senior in college, in Hamilton College in New York. And I remember clearly this situation about the ion. What is it? Noetic sciences. Hey, that's what I want to know. I want to know how we know things, right? And so I was fortunately very lucky. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I ended up in what's called a experimental university in Lima, Peru. And I was lucky enough because they designed this university to look at kind of flip things around. In freshman college, I was studying the classics, Plato, Socrates, and the Vivekananda in India, and stuff like that, It was a little bit different. I remember this professor in history, and we studied not history, but historiography, meaning what makes history, rather than just repeating the events. It's so boring, right? But he was explaining how history is made and how it's remade. I said, wait a minute, you can remake history? But history is frozen. No, the brain interprets frozen events, and that changes with time, right? And I remember the professor in philosophy talking about ontology. Ontology. How do we know what we know? What's the process of doing that? And then the psychology professor talked about Jean Piaget, who was a French mathematician who became a psychologist later. So we're studying the psychology of numbers. How do you develop the concept of zero? Zero didn't exist for a long time. People have one, okay, they have one, you can count it, right? But zero, where's zero? There's no zero. Until somebody came out with an abstraction of zero. And what happens to psychology? We learn to be able to conceive something like a zero or negative numbers. Anyway, so that's from my bachelor's degree in mathematics, because I wanted to study more about that from that perspective. So that's my lucky exposures in the early days. And much later, I came to the US, and that the idea was, how do you get the best jobs possible? Well, you become an engineer. Jobs all over the place. This is in the early 70s, right? I finished my bachelor's in 73 with mathematics and computer science. So sure enough, what's next? Well, you get a master's degree, you get a better job. All right. So I got a master's degree in statistics in Worcester Polytechnic in Massachusetts. So, okay, now what do I do to get a bigger job? See, we're in the US, right? Bigger, better, right? Bigger, better. Well, you get a PhD in engineering, and you can do anything you want. Okay, I went to Texas, got my PhD in engineering, and there was like opening that little detail door, and then found out, wait, what's going on? So I think I did a good job in New York City. I was a consultant partner in Coopers and Lyman, big firm and all that, corner office with a big, facing the Hudson River in New York City, big chairs, bigger things, right? And finally I ran into that place where you go, what's going on? What am I doing here? Burning the candle both ends and all life and all this. Anyway, so that's when I decided to go back to school. But then I was already 44 years old. I went back to chiropractic medicine school in St. Louis, Missouri. I wanted to go back to study about the human body. But I had a different perspective at that point. The engineering in me was still looking at the human body as the most sophisticated instrument I can conceive, actually. It's just unbelievable when you combine the physics, biophysics in particular, with biochemistry, and then move into the pathology, the pathology, the oncology, genetics, and all that. You go, wait a minute. You start looking at the normal concept of when look at, say, any wellness or disease from a different perspective, and that's what I'm trying to convey today. And the key element to all those connections, this is the mystery element I'm telling you about, that nobody wants to talk about, but you can't see it. So let's get into that real quick. All right. Big Bang to today's human. So that's going to be the mystery element. Very important. So we're going to talk about those electromagnetic fields, microwave antennas, genetic, and then we're going to move into the genetics, cell physiology, pathology, and all that. It's all knowledges. And then we're going to end up with what happens to the EMF, electromagnetic field. Okay. 5G, by the way, 5G is peanuts, it's nothing. We have bigger fish to fry today. So we will talk about 5G, and you will see how to manage, how to coexist with it, because we have no choice, it's already there. But we have much bigger problems than 5G. And this is what I'm going to do to appreciate the bigger problem that we have. I have to go back in the early days of physics and chemistry. So then we will do finishing what we do to protect ourselves. Okay, that element, including 5G. But again, 5G is a picnic. It's not the biggest problem we have. It's not. So let's start from that. So I have to do that. I have to go back in time, way back in time. Remember that situation there? But we need to go back a little bit, back in time a little more. Okay? So yeah, we have to go back to the Big Bang, from the Big Bang, from the beginning all the way to human beings today. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. Now, I caution one thing. Because I'm going to become integrated in many different fields in a very short time, so I have made the simplest I could make it without losing. It's kind of Einstein said, things should be simple, but not simpler. So I'm trying to find that balancing act, right? To show the breadth of the interconnection of different fields, but so without losing track on the accuracy of it. So I have to rely a lot on videos and metaphors to convey that imagery, because the details is difficult. It's very complex. You mentioned somebody going to study in the medical field. You mentioned, you remember biochemistry. Watch their face, they shiver. They break up in hives, right? Because it's even worse, physical chemistry. I mean, gosh. That's anyway. So it's a complex subject. If you go into the little details, way down to the nitty-gritty, I want to convey that imagery. You will see details, but please, it's okay, ride. Just go for the ride in appreciation of what's being presented. Yes, I will talk about details, but we don't need to understand what the details are about. It should focus more on the interconnection, the logical sequence of things. Okay, they should have to rely on like say genetics. Well, what is a gene? Well, I have to show you what a gene is, the molecule itself. But it's not that we have to remember the names of the different genes and all that stuff. Okay. So that's going to be the strategy. All right, Mr. Elder, this is the most important slide right there. But can we get this slide down? We can go on. It's early. It's just again back to the details, okay? Because this mystery element is extremely important to deal with matter. And notice I'm talking about both the measurable matter, what we measure up here, and the what's called dark matter. Okay, it involves both of them. I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of dark matter. You have heard about that. Same thing for energy, the measurable energy. Light, sound, electricity, all that. Okay, that's measurable. And also the so-called dark energy. And there are a few formats. I'm trying to keep the formats in minimum, but there would be one in particular. You remember the Einstein's energy equals mc squared, right? Everybody have seen that. I'm going to flip it around. See, because that doesn't tell you, that doesn't convey what really is happening. Energy equals mass times the square of the velocity of light, right? But that doesn't feel, what about if I say C squared is a constant, right? If I put mass under, do put into the energy side, so it will be energy divided by mass. It's a constant. So that's his different perspective, right? So that's the trade-off between energy and matter is fixed. It's a constant there. It's just shifting around. More matter, less energy. More energy, less matter. So that's how we're going to look at that's in the astrophysics side. So right now, if you look at astrophysics, you will see that the energy is getting expanded more. It's more dark energy. So therefore, there's less dark matter. And eventually, we will get an implosion, okay, because of the cosmic gravitational forces. So and energy will be converted into force, and then the whole universe will collapse. But we have a few billion years to go. Don't worry about that. Okay, back to the mystery. But the most important part is going to be the right side. This is the astrophysics piece. It's a whole field in itself. And yes, like I mentioned before, it's a balancing act between matter and energy. You realize, I don't know if you have seen that before, that right now, what we know is that we are able to measure about 5% of the universe, what's measurable in terms of matter. It's only 5%. 95% is so-called dark matter. We don't know what it is. Okay? The mathematical models we use tells us there must be something there, but we can't see it. Okay? And that's what we do in physics, by the way. We develop mathematical models that tell you how things are supposed to be. It's a model, not the reality. It's just a model. We make up with our brains, right? Those models change over time, of course. So we, like the planetary system, the last planet we found was because of mathematical models. Or because of the way the planets are moving, there must be another mass somewhere in here. I said, they put the telescopes around there to see, and sure, oh, wow, there's something there. This has to, the model has to match. Okay? So that's how it guides us to what to look for in the measurable reality. And we found that there's a lot of stuff in there. 95% of it is from the mathematical model. It has to be there, but we have no idea what it is. So we're leaving the 5% on. Now let's go to the more closer reality to us. The element is essential for physics, including biophysics, because I'm going to connect that to human body. And it's essential also for chemistry, in particular biochemistry. Okay, I'm going to focus on the biophysics and the biochemistry only. And you know that the physics drives chemistry because every chemical reaction is a physics transaction. And that's why I'm putting a one-way arrow on it. Physics drives chemistry. But here's the catch now. Physics, biophysics in particular, biochemistry, are important. Yeah, let's show you that. See my computer has a window blocking things. So that drives cell biology, genetics, physiology, pathology, all of them. All the ologies are based on biophysics and biochemistry. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is work on this mystery element, how it permeates all the way to the right side of the screen. If you're familiar with that, we're done. The rest of this morning, 4 hours, it's going to be a little more details to appreciate, not to it's not a lecture, it's just more of an art appreciation. So see, that's what maybe you're in for a ride. This should have to be a ride. You relax, enjoy, and see the connections more than anything, more than the details. Okay, you see the big landscape. So that's what we're going to jump in. Okay. But you need to understand the basic model of everything that works with this. It doesn't matter, it's astrophysics, biology, communications, whatever. You always need an emitter. Like this one, the emitter is not working. No. Okay. You know what? I'm done here. I have two. And in fact, I'm going to use this as an example to see the colors, green and red. What makes it green? What makes it red? Both are light, right? It's about the wavelength, right? How is the length of the wave itself makes the different colors. So let me ask you this. You see green. You see green there, you see green, everybody sees green, right? But you see this as spot. How can spot be seen by different people at the same time? If the light is coming this way straight in, it's reflecting, right? It's reflecting there, reflecting there, reflecting everybody. So the reflection is three-dimensional, which we don't see it. See what I'm saying? Otherwise, how can everybody see the same spot? We can. You see it through the eyes. I mean, the light has to hit your eye to stimulate the brain to see it. We see with the brain, right? But the point is that we don't think about that because we say, oh, I see, oops. But we're kind of assume certain things, like how reality is, we don't question it. And that's kind of part of the problem. I'm gonna kind of a wake-up call in a sense, because I'm gonna show you things, you go, wait a minute, yeah, that's how it works, but I never thought about it. Come on, let's move on. I pushed the one, it's an operator error. Okay. Come on. All right. So we have to have an emitter and a receiver for anything to happen. Any field, anywhere, anywhere in the universe, by the way. So for example, this is a form of energy, it's an emitter, it's emitting laser in this case, right? And the fact that you see, that means you have a receiver in your eyeball, in your retina. Then that causes a function to occur. The same thing happens with a cell. A cell is there, has a cell membrane, right? There's an emitter, could be food, could be EMF, 5G, whatever. But the cell, if the cell is absorbing that energy, then there will be a change in the function. So this is essential. That's the basic energy transfer, right? But there are certain things that can get in the way. Now, for example, if you put this here, you don't see the red spot anymore. If my arm is interfering. Same thing happens in communications, right? Whether it's a cell phone or whatever. Same thing is a radio, they have TV set, they have interferences. Same model. Emitter, receiver, things that get in the way. In this case, would be electromagnetic energy, right? Radio waves or TV waves. But the same thing happens now with the human body. The human body is a receiver also. All right? So that's how we have interferences. And here, the antenna microwave, and here's 5G would be one of them. But the fact is, this has to be absorbed energy to be able to something happening inside the body. Unfortunately, certain form of energy, we have no way to block it ourselves. We have to live with it. Your cell phone. I can call Dan's cell phone number. Okay, call now. And his phone rings, but everybody else has a cell phone doesn't ring. How come? The electromagnetic field went directly, if I goes to the tower first, there's that tower, and the tower sends a signal to Dan, right? So it goes around. If my cell phone doesn't know Dan's here, he can be in China, it still works, because it goes to the tower first. If the tower finds, then my tower, which is out in something, I forgot the company, that tower had to find Dan's tower. And then that Dan's tower had to, where's Dan? The tower doesn't know Dan's here in Richmond. See what I'm saying? They have to blast everywhere. Where's Dan? Where's Dan? I don't know. He's right here. Finally, the things happen fast. But that EMF, like bouncing all over the place. Right now, we're being bathed with electromagnetic fields as we speak. It's just that we don't detect it because we're not receiving it. Or we're not receiving it in a way that we become aware, but it's there. Okay? And that's part of the problem. The problem is that certain parts of the human body resonate, absorb certain energies without us being aware. Okay? So that 5G is one of them. But I'm telling you, there are worse things than that. I'll come back. And also, just like we're receivers, right? The human body is also an emitter. Like intention, for example. You can't even see something as simple as putting your two hands together. You move the hands, you can start feeling that something is in between the hands, right? That's not just heat. It is not. It's measurable as electromagnetic fields. Because we're an emitter. It's a powerful emitter right here, okay? In Chinese, acupuncture called Lao Gong. It's a minor chakra. It depends on the Shustani in India or the Chinese. But they have known that for thousands of years, right? All the energy centers. I'm certifying acupuncturists that tend to work with the acupuncture points and to stimulate and change the body via those channels, right? So yes, so the body, we are emitters and we're also receivers. So so let's get into this magnetic wave. What is that stuff? Let's get into peeling the onion now, a little bit. This is a simple look at the battery. Battery is providing electrical current. If you have a nail and there's a wire around the nail, coil, when the electricity runs through the coil, and then that creates a magnetic wave around because of the iron, in this case the metal. Okay, so it's not so clear. I don't think you can see that well, but you have the waves coming out. Those are magnetic waves. Notice magnetic waves are perpendicular from the flow of current. So the current goes this way, magnetic wave come up, goes that way. And let me show you a video that would be better. This is what a electromagnetic wave looks like. We have an electric field and what's called a magnetic field. They're two go together. That's called electromagnetic. That's the reason. There's an electric aspect and a magnetic aspect to it. Now let's be careful about this one. I say aspect because when we talk about the dark energy being 5% and the 95% being dark, I'm sorry, the 5% is measurable energy. The 95% is not measurable, it's dark energy right now. One way to look at it, to feel about it, is something, the 5% that we're measuring is an aspect of one entity. It's just one aspect to it. It's like right now, if I look at, say, a Tom, I look at Tom here, I look at the physical aspect of Tom. My eyes cannot receive, right? As a receiver, can see Tom's radiating, in this case, infrared rays. Are we clear? We all emit infrared waves, but our eyes, as a receiver, is not able to capture them. Okay, some animals can. For a snake can see infrared. Why? Because evolution forced them to, because they hunt at night, right? So you have to see things, heat patterns at night. So they develop over time, genetically, develop the ability to see infrared. Women can see a little more infrared than men. Okay, you may say, why? Oh, you always look at when something happens, what prompted to do that? Things don't show up just because they show up just for the heck of it. No, they don't. They respond to demand, right? That's the nature of evolution in this case. So why would women see more infrared than men? We have to go back years because this takes thousands and thousands of years for things to change, really. It's a very slow process. So you have to think about, say, 1 million years ago, right? With the caves and all that. And then the child starts screaming and crying at night. Who's going to wake up? The man is dreaming of fishing, hunting, or, it's the woman that wakes up. But there's no electricity, no candle, no, you have to go back. So they were forced, you see, demand to be able to see better in the dark. So that's why over time, we still have that ability actually. Again, things take a long time. This so-called civilization with carpet and all, it's just a few hundred years. Just nothing in terms of evolution. just a blink of an eye. So you see how, and talk about nutrition in a moment, later on. Why do we crave fats and stuff like that? You will see in a moment why. So back to waves. Watching this one, it's a video. I want you able to see it. Oh my goodness. So watching this one. This is an electron. That's what you see, then I have to move. I can't. And I have two hands. So look at this. My hand is, yeah. You see, I have Siri. Yeah, it's the Siri switch slides. No, that Siri doesn't work on my slides. Okay. So look at this. This is a metal wire, and this is an electron. And here is a house with another antenna. So we have an emitter and a receiver. I want to demonstrate to you what happens to this guy, this electron that moves up and down, and that's what creates a wave. It's the electron movement. So let's call it here. Let's see, there it goes. So watching this once again, watch the electron, the purple pill. Watch the purple pill, how it moves, and what's going to happen over the wire or through the air. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to move it there. This is an animation I have on my computer. Up and down, you see that? When the electron moves on the emitter, that motion, that's what creates the magnetic wave. Okay? And now you can see that well, but this is going to oscillate us a little bit because it's receiver. So it has an electron on the receiver antenna. So when the wave hits it, that electron absorbs the magnetic wave and moves. When it moves, converts that to sound or video, whatever the case is in the transmission or the cell phone, the communication, whatever. You see what I'm saying? It's the emitter and the receiver. And there's an energy transfer. It's the same model. That model works everywhere in the whole universe. Okay? That's the nature of, that's a magnetic wave. That's what's created. Electron flow creates magnetic waves everywhere. Now let's look at the opposite side. This is a magnet and this is a coil. Okay, this is a light bulb. When the magnet, of course, has magnetic fields right around. It's a static. Static magnets don't produce and don't transmit energy. They have to move. No motion is death. And that works for human bodies too. You don't move, you die. Right? Same thing, static. The universe is not static. We showed some videos from there how genes work, and you can see it's an actual video of genes moving. They're vibrating like crazy. I mean, really a lot. So watching this one. I'm going to move the magnet sideways. Okay? So when the magnet moves over a coil, that will create, it's called induction. It will induce currents. And therefore, it can lit up the light bulb. Okay? See, this is the opposite. But this is called Faraday's law, whatever it is. But this is going to be important to understand once we talk about physiology, pathology, and all. You see, the problem with the mess we're in the healthcare in the U.S. is coming up in a month. I'm going to try to repeat the same model several times, so at different levels. And now we talked about, you remember the most important chart, biophysics and biochemistry. But there's only one-way error. That's a lot more important than just it appears to be an error. Biophysics drives biochemistry. Unfortunately, in the US at least, in many, most in the US, when we go to pathology, physiology, and all that, we're going through the biochemistry route only. Okay? Not the biophysics. And once we go into that, then we end up thinking about a mechanical way of looking at the body. And I'm going to show you a little more details why that is the case. Once we look at the atom and molecules, we have to look at genetics. And once you see that, say, wait a minute. Yeah, we can think of the atom as a nucleus with little balls running around. That's what's driving healthcare today. that model. And that's wrong. That is incorrect, actually. But that's what drives the idea of pharmacology. Little balls moving around, and so we can make it up as opposed to the way it is really. We talked about Heisenberg's principle. You sure have heard about Dr. Heisenberg, right? Yes, he's coming up to haunt you. Heisenberg is right around you. Look at this one. This is a nice video. You see that lady? Okay. Now we're gonna peel the details. We're gonna fly into it all the way down. And I want you to see it. We're gonna focus on that particular area. Just here. No. Why not? Okay. So, what's in this area right here? It's a very faint square. That's a hair. We're going to move into the hair. You want details? I'm going to give you details. That's one hair strand. The size is it's 100 micrometer. Here dimensions 100 micrometer, very, very small. Okay. Now we're looking at the cells inside the hair. Now we're down to 1 micrometer. Now we're in the fibers themselves, the microfibers. That's 10 nanometer. That's 10 billionth of a meter. Billionth with a B. Now we're down to 2.8 nanometers. That's the actual keratin structure. Those are molecules. It's a lot under there. one hair strand. Look at the configuration of the different molecules. The molecules are composed of atoms. Those are atoms. You see who we are? That's just hair. And now look at this. That's the nucleus, and those, you see the elongated pieces? Those are the electrons. Did you see a little ball? No. That electron is not a little ball spinning around the nucleus. It is not. Look at this. That's carbon. And there's the protons, neutrons, all right? But this is the nucleus itself, of course. This is from France, by the way. So that's the mystery element. I'll show you the shape of it, what it looks like. So I told you about this is how far we got so far. This is the nucleus that we're looking at the quarks. Okay, so hence the concept of quantum mechanics, right? Let's look at it a little bit more about the electron, because this is going to be the important one. Now, this is nucleus. You have the proton, neutrons, and electrons. Let's focus on that. Okay? The nucleus is about 1 to 10 femtometer. Femto is even smaller than, way down small. You see, this is the model. We have different concept of the electron. Back then, it was a little ball circling around. Now it has a wave, but there is not. It is a cloud. And the electron means it lives around here. It's a probability function more than anything else, okay? So the nucleus, and this is the Schrödinger's equation I'm talking about, So that's the total energy, and there are two ways of computing it. You look at the cloud for a moment, I'll show you in a moment. So this is the high probability cloud. So the electron is not a little ball, is a location where there's certain probabilities of finding something called the electron. All right? Yes. Exactly, the electron is not an entity that you can grasp. You see the effects, you can manipulate it, you can do things with it. But there's not just one little particle. And that's so essential for how we function as human beings, both disease and wellness. affected a lot by how the electron functions. It doesn't function. More about that in a moment. So we talk about the energy, right? That was, oh yeah. Just the concept, I like props. You mentioned about kinetic, potential and kinetic energy, right? That you add them out, that will be total energy. So if you have this one, you say this has energy now. Why? Theoretically, this is not energy, this is a piece of metal, right? But it has energy because if I drop it, see, if I drop it on Tom's head, Tom is not gonna like it. It's gonna hurt a little bit, okay? So that's energy affecting him. So imagine the following, that now I bring it up much higher to the second floor. If I drop it to the second floor, he will feel a lot more, right? The total energy will be higher. Why? Because when I move it up, it's more potential energy. Okay? So that's what it means. So so right now when I go here, then there's some amount of potential energy, and the kinetic is what is in the floor. That you feel the kinetic energy. Okay? This is crazy. I'll tell you a moment. No, talk about time. Time is no constant. You should, right now, for example, if I go, my shoes are on. I'm going to show you how to slow down time. You know how you slow down time? Time right now for me is slower than for you. It's just so small you can't tell. Well, let me get my watch. It's too small to be measurable. But yes, in principle, yes, my time, the elapsing of time at this level, because I'm higher away from the earth than you are, is slower. In fact, you may say, well, that's crazy, you know, what's so important about that? You know, we don't notice that, it's so small, who cares, right? But you know what? The satellites that control GPS, they have to compensate for that. Because they're high enough from the earth that time is a little slower there. So they have to adjust the calculations. When they tell you where you are in the time and all that, they have to adjust for that. So it is real. It is happening. Okay? More of that. You see, it's kind of if you never run into that, it's just time, yeah, I remember reading some high school physics, time is relative and all that. But no, we see it. We can measure now. So we're getting a little bit better for those things. Okay. Carbon. Oh, carbon. Now we're going to peel the onion into one molecule only. And again, not because we need to understand what carbon is and all the different molecules, it's to appreciate what a molecule is. Okay? I pick carbon because it's so important for human being, for life. So watch this. So that's the protons, the positive, the neutron. Neutrons are not charged, right? Okay? Look at the electron. Look at this hydrogen. This helium, this is more proton, lithium, beryllium, boron, and the carbon. So let's look at carbon. So you have this is the nucleus. Okay? The positive are the protons, it's positively charged. The green ones are the neutrons, so you can have more neutrons. But look at what this is inside the sun. That's how carbon was formed in the sun. There are collisions in there. There was so much collisions and explosions that allow this the protons and neutrons to get together. Notice here I'm using the little balls. Okay, that's called a Bohr model because that Bohr is the person who came up with it. You see, molecules, carbon belong here. They like to have 8 electrons on the outer orbit. It went too fast. Yeah. I need to stop at the one section because that's just an important concept to realize that that's what's happening with carbon and happens to all molecules. It's the concept of sharing electrons. They have to share, but all molecules, all atoms, they like they want like stability, they want a stable position. So let me just go back here and stop it. No, it didn't stop it. All right. Okay. It's coming up in a different way. I'm going to shift now a little bit to the concept of DNA, genes, and all that. They're a form of molecules. So let's look at that. Right here, you have the cell, you have the nucleus. Conceptually, the nucleus, you have the chromosomes, but the chromosome, you have all sort of protein molecules, right? That's the DNA itself. The gene is just a piece of the DNA, all right? No, but these are all sort of molecules in there. Don't worry about the names. So let's look at that, what kind of molecules they are. They're different colors, they're different atoms, but not many of them, very, very small. Most of them are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Okay? Those are the most common ones. So that's why I was talking about carbon in particular. That's kind of shows almost all over the place. So here's the nucleic acid that's part of the DNA itself, the gene, right? Let's ponder a little bit on this particular slide here. So you have what's called a base. There's hydrogen, neutron, nitrogen, and B is phosphate. Okay. A sugar, the DNA sugar, that also has looked at the carbon, oxygen, hydrogen only. That's it. Once you combine all that up, that's the basic element of a gene. But what I want you to focus is on this lines here that connecting, say, carbon connecting to hydrogen. That line is an electron that is moving around. Okay, so it's not a little rubber band or a little stick or something like that. That would be the old model I've told you before. Electrons are little balls. That would be kind of this, because we have to write it this way for textbooks. We have to print it. But this is not the reality. This is just a model to simplify things, but they made it too simple. We lost the ability to see what a bond is between, say, hydrogen and carbon, or nitrogen and nitrogen. All the connections, let's look at that one more time. Because EMF affects that bond, that connection. That's where we run into problems. It's because EMF messes up these connections. And when they mess up these connections, then this particular piece of the gene is messed up. And when that piece of the gene is messed up, then the protein that is developed by that gene is messed up. Now, here's some examples of how that works. One little change on a gene was a sickle cell anemia. One little change. In fact, it was malposition. Instead of going 3 and 5, we're going 5 and 3. That's it. It was just a transposition. That caused sickle cell anemia. So let's look at this. It's called something called base, and the DNA has only 4 bases. Very simple, really. 4. A is there for adenine. And adenine is going to be important. Let's remember that name, adenine. Because in a moment I'm going to show you there's a molecule that is absolutely the most important molecule to generate energy in all cells of the body. Absolutely all of them. All of them. Without that, we die. It would be the adenine. Okay, but more about that. I'm just telling you, it's part of the DNA also. It's called the universal source of energy for all cells of the body, brain cells, muscles, skin, bone, everything. They all need one molecule that is based on adenine. And that's what it looks like. Okay, look at this, hydrogen, nitrogen. That's it, hydrogen or nitrogen. It has a particular configuration. It has to be this particular shape with these particular branches. If the branches are broken, it is not adenine anymore. If it is not adenine, no fuel for the cells. No fuel for the cells, you die. As you see what's emerging here, that these little lines is an electron moving back and forth. Let's go. And what's an electron? It's a probability of finding a charge. It's not a little ball running around or a little Velcro, right? You see how crucial it is to understand what really an electron is? Because that being diffused, being an electric cloud, that is affected by EMF. It's the connection. It's called a bond. Okay? The bond is messed up with not just EMF and 5G. But that's how we're connecting the problems here with the DNA or the molecular material adenine. That is probably even more important than this, because that drives metabolic function. It's coming along. And we can I'm sort of peeling the onion, building sort of a building with little pieces, okay? There's connecting the mystery element, which is the electron, okay? How important it is and why conventional healthcare doesn't pay attention to the electron. If we did that, pharmacology would be different. And hopefully that would be the end result. So, you know what? Based on what I'm talking about, I can see why we're doing all these things with drugs. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay? In general, some drugs are important, but we're overdone, way overdone. Because we missed the fact that the electron is not a little ball spinning around the nucleus. It's so key to pharmacology, that concept. Once you remove that, then you go into what's called quantum biology. And I'll show you the person who developed the field of quantum biology in France, and then Denise. There's a beautiful video on YouTube by Montagnier, who got the Nobel Prize in genetics. He's a geneticist. And he made a video, 1 hour video, talking about quantum biology. It's all on YouTube. For free, you can download it. Beautiful. You just don't have enough time to bring that level of detail, right? All right. So let's continue. Notice it says deoxyribose. The other one is called ribose only. Because, ribose only has deoxy means no oxygen. It means no oxygen. Deoxy. Took the oxygen out. The ribose itself, which is used for the RNA, the only difference, it has an oxygen here. Okay? That's it. I mean, you see, again, to appreciate that all it takes is changing one atom. You're changing the function of the whole molecule. It's so fragile, very fragile. That's why I say at the beginning, I say 5G, hey, we have bigger fish to fry. Because we have other things that affect the little bonds much more than 5G. Okay. All right, let's move on. So DNA has 4 bases, I told you before. Okay. And there's adenine again. So I want you to move it around. Nitrogen, hydrogen, and carbons. That's all it has. Right? The other 4, therefore, this is for the messenger RNA. Just remember, there's 4 of them: adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine. These 4 of them are the ones that compose the DNA, complete DNA itself. Only 4. So watch on this one. Okay, it's called DNA bases. Because how we're pairing the bases makes the DNA. It's the pairing of bases. That's it. You break the base, you break the connection between these 2 bases, the DNA is messed up. All right? So let me show you one picture here. Here it is. You see, this is the phosphate bases. And those little lines like that, that's electrons. Electron clouds are holding the DNA together. You break this bond, the DNA is different. Can that bond be break? Yeah, of course, it's just an electron cloud. It's an electromagnetic field holding the atoms together. Because the electromagnetic field is affected by electromagnetic fields. That's the problem in there, right? So fragile it is. There's another way of looking at it. You see the connections? Those are hydrogen bonds. Right? Hydrogen, that's it. Very fragile. The hydrogen bond. So to appreciate always says that it's a very intricate, huge molecule. The DNA is a very large molecule. Okay, composed of a bunch of different components, but all that is together, held together very, very gently by hydrogen bonds. That's it. And I'll show you in a moment an example where it doesn't show there, but the DNA is like a corkscrew, like a three-dimensional. You change the shape, you change the function of the DNA, even the shape. All right. Worse, if you break a bond, then you really change the function of what the DNA is doing. All right. You remember that? We go back to Heisenberg, huh? Little ball. This is not exact. This is not the case. That's not true. All right. Well, we have known this for a long time. What we're doing here is called the Bohr model. I was telling you before. It becomes what it is they have the nucleus, the electron cloud is around. All right. It's just the probability of finding it. That's the dark yellow is a high probability. The light yellow, low probability. But where is it? Hey, there's a way of measuring the probability, but you can't see where it is. Okay? Like nobody has seen one. Another way of looking at it, this is the hydrogen atoms. There are two of them separately, right? They like to have at least 2 electrons on the outer orbit. Watch what's happening here. They come together to share so they're balanced. Okay? But they have to share to be stable. They have no choice. So that one now, each of them has 2 electrons. That one, this is a bond. That is a bond. A bond is made by sharing electrons or exchanging electrons. Let me tell you something. All chemical reactions, actually all chemical reactions are based on 2 things. All of them. What's inorganic chemistry, biochemistry, I don't care. All organic chemistry are based on sharing electrons or exchanging electrons. That's it. Okay? So the whole pharmacology is based on this stuff. Can that be affected by EMF? You bet. Because the electron is an electromagnetic field, not a little Velcro, a little rubber band, like shown in the Bohr model. It is not. We got messed up. We use the Bohr model as a model to drive pharmacology. That's where we went wrong. That's where it's supposed to be. It's a cloud. Okay? Fragile cloud. So now let's build that up. That's the Benveniste. What Benveniste did put those ideas together. Say, well, so how's cell biology then? From the biophysics perspective. You know, this is the Bohr model. You know, a little ligand and the receptor. It has to key and keyhole type of idea. It has to fit in because they think about the electron is a little ball that has to fit in there. Okay? This is wrong. But that's what we use today. You go to medical school, chiropractic school, dental school, that's what we study today. Unbelievable. I mean, we have known this. This is not true over 100 years. 1920, yeah, that's right. 20 years, 100 years. How come we didn't move to the fact that the ligand can use electromagnetic fields to affect the function of the cell? This is the model of is today. This is what we know from biophysics. And Benveniste developed what's called quantum biology. Okay. If we use this as a model to drive medicine, healthcare, and all that, we would have a whole different system. We would have different means to treat disease and pathology, and you know, it would be a whole different ballgame. Okay. That Benveniste, quantum biology is a whole lecture by itself. It's just a lot more into it. Okay? But let's go back to this DNA a little bit more. All right? Here's the DNA. Those are the nitrogenous bases because it's based on nitrogen, right? That's another name. Well, different names, it's really the same thing. So they're pairing. There's a chromosome, and the chromosomes, of course, are inside the nucleus of the cell. Okay? Watch this video, how DNA is made. I'm not sure the whole thing, but I'll do the wrapping first. But look at how fast it moves. Things are vibrating. All atoms are vibrating all the time. There's nothing static. We tend to fail that because we look at the book. Yes, it prints. It doesn't show. If you look at the microscope, okay, so the electron microscope, you can see molecules are vibrating all the time, never stop. What makes them vibrate? Where do they get the energy to vibrate? You think about that?
Yeah.
It takes energy to move. When I move this, I took energy to do that, right? How come they're moving all the time? Electrons are moving all the time. They never get exhausted. They don't take a break. COVID didn't stop them. They keep going. They don't sleep. Where do they get the energy from? Huh?
Nothing.
Nothing, exactly. It's just the way it is. It's there. When she created the universe, that's how she did it. And you're going there looking at that, and you go, wait a minute, something is off. I don't know. I better look the other way because I don't know how to use that for my business. I'm making items based on the little ball. So that's kind of what's happening in the economy of that. To face that reality that, where we have built the whole castle and this whole empire are based on something that shouldn't be there. Yes?
Does that mean energy equals MC squared is wrong?
No. All I was saying, energy divided by mass is C squared. Now, that's an approximation. Energy equals MC squared. Don't apply that to micro stuff. That's astro. Large objects. Yeah. For at this level, you have to use quantum physics. The different models in physics now we're building towards called the unification model. We don't have that yet. But unifying all of them together into one model. We're not there yet. Okay. For a long time, the idea of electrical fields and magnetic fields were separate until Maxwell in England said, you know what? I can come up with a mathematical model that combines the two, hence we end up electromagnetics. But you see, models change as we know more. But we're not there yet. So, but look at this is fabrication. Look at how fast the things are moving inside the nucleus of the cell. And note the speed, any of the little linkages that are broken, a bond that's broken, all mixed position. That mixed up changes the protein being made. So, this is what it is. Look at this. That's the DNA, transcription, transition, and then at the end you end up with protein. So in a sense, the party line, which is wrong by the way, as I was studying in school today, one DNA produces one protein. That's wrong. That's not true. We don't know really exactly how it maps, but that's the party line right now. You know why? Look at this. The lonely tomato has more genes than we do. Tomato has 35,000 genes. Human being has 20,000. Are we superior than the tomato? I'm not sure. I guess it depends on what kind of tomato, right? Organic tomato? Tomato? This is more by Johns Hopkins University. It's called the Code Breakers. They work on genes and mapping genes from all over the place. Electron plus can go crazy sometimes. Very easy. Look at this. That's one gene. Look, do you remember the bases I'm talking about? Those are the letters, okay? Cytosine, thymine, they're different. There are only 4 bases, that's it. So there are different letters, C, T, G, A, and once you combine those two, right, through the what's called messenger RNA, that produces a protein called glutamate. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So if I combine thymine with adenine, and then I get glutamic acid. Oh, that's the raw acid. That's right. No glutamate. Glutamate is a salt. It's an acid. Okay, but look at this one right here. What happens if I, instead of T in position 3 and A in position 5, I switch it? I don't break it. Just switch it. AT. And that was sickle cell anemia. Yep. So that's something, because this protein is not glutamic acid no, and that messes up the hemoglobin in the red blood cells, and they can different shape, and they can't carry oxygen anymore. You have all the sequelae of sickle cell anemia. They get tired, they can function. Yes.
Any studies of autism?
Ooh, autism. Yeah, there are many studies of autism. Many studies. Question is, are they
Relative
successful?
to what you're saying.
Oh, I see. No, there's some plausible hypothesis on how this works. But no, we don't have a model like in this case of sickle cell anemia. Yeah.
Is there a cure for sickle cell?
Excuse me?
Is there a cure?
Oh, depends. There are different kinds of sickle cell anemia. So it depends on what's causing this malposition.
Right. Well, I figured if they knew what was doing it, they
Yeah.
reverse engineer.
Yeah, genetic engineering. Yeah, that's yeah. This makes it very simple. One strand to keep it simple, right? In reality, it's a soup, gazillion, that's molecules. And question is, how do you intervene through the gene to change what? To change, it's a soup that you cannot isolate something. No, so the answer is no. Not in this for sickle cell anemia. You're kind of stuck with it. Yeah. In some cases, you can manipulate through gene engineering, right? But that's tricky because it's so complex. Like I told you before, look at the DNA cards coming, happening fast, fabrication, replication, so happening, because 100 miles an hour. And where do you intervene? It's so easy. It's like trying to shoot something that's moving very fast, right? Where do you aim? That's stuff. So I'm very leery about gene engineering for humans.
Wasn't COVID a result of genetic engineering?
Wow. That's a
There's a
question.
mistake.
I was in Wuhan, China, about 6 months before COVID.
That's what that lab is for.
Yeah. I didn't go to the market, so don't blame me. I was just doing business. I was doing a seminar there in Wuhan, China.
And then other people involved.
All right, see. But good question. But look at this example of DNA damage. And you can see this more than 5G right here. Oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is caused by a lot of things besides 5G. And I give you some examples of how you can. We do that every day. Oxidative stress that can mess up, So you have single base damage. You see the word base, now you know. Base, okay, there are only 4 bases in DNA. You got single base damage that screws up the DNA, the gene. And the gene is producing, making proteins, right? So that's kind of more of that. Oh, come on. The other one focuses on what's called reactive oxygen species. That's the one I focus a lot because of the free radicals. That's all it is. It's reactive oxygen species. Reactive means the molecule is unstable. Okay, reactive. Oxygen, so it's a molecule based on oxygen, but it's unstable. What unstable means? It doesn't have enough electrons. That's what it means, by the way. A radical, a free radical, that's what it means. It's unstable in the sense of electron. Doesn't have enough electrons. So what happens is some atoms like oxygen, they're very strong. They're strong bonds and weak bonds, okay? So the bonds with the oxygen are so strong, they're able to steal electron from somebody else, okay? So if you put that on a cell membrane is composed of atoms and molecules, mostly lipids. So when the oxygen free radical comes close to the molecular level of the cell membrane, it steals electrons from the cell membrane. So it doesn't make a hole into it. Okay? And based on the load, eventually the cell membrane is damaged and the cell causes disease or death. That's how the cell dies. So that would be, I want to focus a lot on this one because it's ubiquitous. We do that all the time. We had pizza last week, we got that one.
That's what metal was. That's what metal was.
Oxidation, yeah, metal rust, yeah. Oxidative stress is rusting in the body. Yeah, that's what we're calling it, rusting. All right, another example is oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes. They're different kinds of genes, different functions, okay? They're all based on 4 bases, that's it, 4 bases. Yeah, so it's very simple, really. Oncogenes help control the cell division or tell the cell when to die, apoptosis, right? Okay? Now, gene mutations that turn on oncogenes or turn off tumor suppressors tend to suppress tumors. That's the function, all right? Can cause the white blood cells to go out of control. This one, gene mutation, okay, I can turn on oncogenes by mistake, by exposure, or turn off the tumor suppressor, less suppressor, then in either case, my white cell count goes up, out of control. They don't know when to die, okay? That leads to leukemia. You see how they connect? In that case, we know fairly well leukemia, yes.
You're probably getting to this. What's the effect of positive and negative thinking on all that?
Yes, it's coming. You're right, because thinking is a form of energy. No question about that. Yeah. Oh, so many experiments, random experiments and all these things. So I'm just looking at the measurable stuff and the kind of nitty-gritty. The consciousness and intention is a little more difficult to measure, right? So it's coming. All you have to think about, realize is you have an emitter, you have a receiver. What is being transferred? It's an energy transfer. I didn't say chemical transfer. I said energy transfer. Any form of energy. Okay? As long as the receiver, the emitter is able to emit an energy, whatever you want to call it, and the receiver is able to absorb that energy, something's going to happen. Yeah, but you're right. That's exactly what's happening. That's what I mentioned, that model at the beginning, first slide, works everywhere. Oh, I don't care what it is, as long as there is an emitter, a receiver, and an energy channel. That's all it takes. Yeah.
Have you looked at the age of these cells, whether it's a stem cell from a baby?
So the people online can't hear any of these questions.
I can repeat the questions.
Okay, go ahead and repeat it if you want.
Okay.
Have you looked at the age of these cells, whether like a baby, like a 6 months old or a month old, has like 20 or a million stem cells versus an old man like me? I have like 10,000, maybe 10,000 left.
No, maybe more like 5,000.
Yeah, very few, right?
Yeah,
Or like,
you're right.
We have very few left. So our systems get attacked because we don't have stem cells repair everything and can produce any organ, any cell.
Stem cells don't repair anything. No,
Well, they produce new cells.
They could.
Why don't you come up on the mic here because you're having a conversation.
But
Nobody.
Stem cells don't repair.
Repeat the question, though.
so my question is whether Dr. Marquina's looked at the age of the cells, whether they're new cells or like old cells like me and him have.
The stem cells in particular.
Stem cells, like, and the effect, I don't know if you know what stem cells are, like a new baby has like 1 million stem cells when they're born.
And as you go older, the number of stem cells depletes. I think it's very rapidly once you hit 20, 30 years old. It's like, that's why you feel bad, and it takes so long to recover when you smash yourself up with it.
Stem cells do reproduce, by the way, okay? So we can generate more stem cells. And stem cells are called pluripotential, meaning they have to talk about potential. They have a high potential to become anything, okay? But they don't become by themselves. They have to be coaxed. When I said the body responds to demand, that demand makes the stem cells to change. It's the demand. They don't do it by themselves. Okay? So they have an injury. Then stem cell, there's a demand there to repair. Then stem cell will convert to whatever was injured. If there's bone, will become osteoblasts, it will become bone cells. If there's skin, will be skin cells. So that's what I meant by it's called differentiation. You can differentiate the different type of tissues. But there has to be a demand. And the demand could be artificially induced, we do it ourselves, or accidentally, without our will, like an injury, for example. Yeah, it is doable. So, but they do reproduce. We have stem cells all over the body, skin, bone, all over the place. Long story short, really, there's so many things. We did a study on with lasers. Lasers do induce differentiation of stem cells. So that's why we work on lasers in the clinic. And we have seen how they change in labs, published in journals, how the stem cell can differentiate to, in this case, was cartilage and bone on petri dishes by using lasers. So that was probably 10 years ago or something. But yeah, good question about that. Oh, remember that? Just recall, right? Adenine. It's going to hunt you. Oh, let's go back to adenine again. Because adenine is going to be used for something called, there's adenine, just to give you a better idea. Again, appreciation. I appreciate that carbon, okay, you have hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. I'm sorry, nitrogen. So they have 5 carbons, 5 hydrogen, 5 nitrogen. That's all it is. Look at the conformation, the 3-dimensional shape. All right? But this one is key right here, adenine. ATP is the molecule of life. No ATP, you die. It's black and white. That adenine triphosphate, because there are 3 phosphates. So that's where the name comes from. Adenine triphosphate, ATP. You mention anybody in the health field of any kind, you said, you know what ATP is? They know exactly what it is. Oh my God, ATP, shoo. Yeah, that's the universal source of energy. Okay? They may not remember what it means, but they know what ATP is. ATP, yeah. You have to have that. No question about that. Okay? What is ATP made? Inside the cell, inside the nucleus. I'll peel the onion a little bit. I'll show you how the chemical change happening. There's an electronic process, not a chemical process. And that's the key. Look at this. So let's appreciate that. This one, that's death or life. That's made in an electronic process inside the cell. So will that be affected by EMF? You bet. So 5G is peanuts compared to what's going to say in a moment. Okay, there's the cell structure. I'm going to focus on this particular orange one. There's the nucleus. Okay. And that's called the mitochondria, or mitochondrion, which is singular. Okay? So we're going to peel the onion inside the mitochondria, because that's where the ATP is made. Side note, mitochondrion was a parasite, was not part of the human body. It was external. And way back, eons of years ago, the mitochondrion made a deal with the eukaryotic cells, like this, before humans existed. They said, you know what? How about if you protect me from, predators at the cellular level, the primordial soup way back then, right? And I make fuel for you to grow. That was the deal we cut. We made a deal way back then. And even today, that allows us to be here, really, without the this mitochondria and this contract we had back then, we wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have the ATP. So here's an example of a muscle cell. It's a heart muscle cardiomyocyte. Inside we have a bunch of mitochondria, thousands of mitochondria in each cell. Okay, I'm going to be here. I want to focus inside this mitochondria, talk about details. Only in this particular section. And what's going to be? That section, this is the membrane inside the mitochondria. This membrane has molecules, enzymes, and protein molecules. Okay? Now watch this. This is the membrane of the mitochondria. I'm blowing it up. This is the outside and this is the inside. Watch the purple pill. Okay? You see, this is what's happening. This is what generates energy for all cells in my body. And if I screw up that, I'm really in trouble. I feel bad, fogginess, don't remember, lose my memory, get disease, stomach problems, IBS, you name it, all the named diseases. The pain coming from here. I don't care what you call it. Yeah. Psoriasis, IBS, all the names and names and names. But intrinsically, all of them have a particular element that is screwed up. Yeah. Okay, so this is oxygen. Okay. This hydrogen, purple. And the white one is electrons. I know I'm showing a little boy, come on, bad boy. But it's a picture, so I have to use it. It's a cloud, okay? If we forget that this is a cloud, we ended up with the pharmacology we have today. That's the problem. Huge problem. So simple, but that's what we are. Okay, so it's going to video. Watch on this one. It's going to move. This don't worry about the names. It's called complex, complex 3, complex 4. It's different names. It's much more complicated. But just remember, it's electron, oxygen, and hydrogen. Okay. Now, it's going to move a little fast. Look at this. Bringing the electron in. It has energy now to combine. You see, and all these electrons needs enough energy to combine oxygen with hydrogen to make water. Okay? But when that happens, water comes out, and the excess hydrogens go to the external side. Okay? So you have a lot of hydrogen here. Why we do that? Because the hydrogen pressure is used to run this engine. And this engine is making ATP, the adenosine diphosphate, 2-phosphate, into put the or phosphate in there, it becomes ATP. Because it needs energy to create a bond. Okay? So you have adenosine, the base, diphosphate being 2-phosphate. I need to put another one there to create a bond. It's an electronic bond. It's not a little rubber band or something. That bond is electromagnetic field. So I need energy to create that. And that's what this engine is doing. That's how ATP is made. It's an electronic process. Electrons were moving in, and the hydrogen creates enough hydrogen pressure. So the hydrogen was, this is a hydrogen engine. Okay? But it's driven by electron fuel. Are we here together? Yeah, this is so crucial to understand with mitochondria. Ask anybody in the health field, hey, is your mitochondria just messed up with that? Oh my God, that's really serious stuff. Now, when that happens, the protons are positively charged, okay, hydrogen. So the inside will be negative. You see that? On the inside, there's all negative charge. On the other side, there's positive charge. So the mitochondria is like a battery. So you have a positive pole and a negative pole. What happens to your battery is your battery is depleted, right? What it means is you don't have enough electrons running from one pole to the next to create motion, right? Force. So you crank up the car, they say it got very cold. Oh, because your battery is kind of old, one day says cold snap, what happens in the morning? Oh, grind. That doesn't have enough electrons flowing to turn the engine on, right? You see what I'm saying? The battery is depleted. Same thing happened with the mitochondria. If the mitochondria discharge, enough voltage between the outside and the inside, the mitochondria doesn't have enough energy, electronic energy, to make ATP. So it's just like a battery in your car. Exactly the same. So question is, how can you recharge the mitochondria? In many different ways. That's when the health comes in. And that's what we do in the office. We use all different means to recharge the mitochondria, including EMF. We have a machine that produces EMF and put it in the body, with lasers and stuff like that. So, electronegativity is essential to mitochondrial health. Losing the negative charge, you die. The mitochondria dies, no ATP, no energy for the cells, the cell dies. And the tissue dies, that causes disease or actual death. All right? So, we're just moving it together now. All cells need this energy produced by the mitochondria. Every cell has hundreds of mitochondria, a lot. Some of them more than others, actually. Mitochondria has its own DNA, by the way, because it came from the outside. It was a parasite. It's called a mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA. But watch, this is the problem there. Mitochondrial DNA is 10 times more susceptible to mutations and damage, unfortunately. So talk about 5G. Oxidative stress, they will screw it up really bad. Okay? In fact, there's a whole journal called Mitochondrial Disease. It's a new journal, mitochondrial disease. So important, but just recently, the last 10 years or something, 15 years. Before then, we didn't, medically, we didn't care about mitochondria. Makes ATP, so what, I have all the means of intervening. So this is the mitochondria there, blow up on that. Don't worry about this, the adrenals a lot. That's a whole course on mitochondria.
In the body, are there certain parts, like the muscles, that are more dependent on mitochondria than other parts? Like skin?
No, wait. Dependent. All cells depend on mitochondria. All cells, period.
But do certain ones depend more?
No. All of them depend on mitochondria. Well, some cells will have more mitochondria than others.
Okay, so my question is, why do we have heart attacks? So the heart is a big muscle.
Yes.
And is there, like your example about the battery, okay, why do we use a defibrillator to jumpstart the heart?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have to talk about the heart physiology to see why we do the defibrillator. Because being a muscle, they're looking at that, it's like a shotgun approach. It's not a cellular approach. Question is, can you work on the mitochondria to prevent the heart attack? The answer is yes. Once you have a myocardial infarction, okay, at that point it's a shotgun approach. See what I'm saying? So the question is, can we recharge the mitochondria preventively? Yes, we do that all the time in the head office. That's exactly what we do. Question, when you have the disease, depends how bad it is, you can still do a conservative approach to the mitochondria to reverse the disease. But it could be to an extreme case, like a heart attack. But then you're beyond using the mitochondria as a vehicle. That's because of this. You have septicemia, this problem in the abdomen, in the stomach. If you have septicemia, that's not the time to go, let me see how I can work on the mitochondria. No, come on. You die. You see what I'm saying? It depends on the extent. Oh, yeah, that was the slide I was showing you what else you can do to help the mitochondria. Nutrition, all different ways, okay? Hey, fasting will mitochondrial damage. Yes, big time. They create oxidative stress. Another way, why do we create fats? This is the way of explaining that very clearly. Back, thousands of years, We didn't eat, 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, right? Sometimes we skip, a few days without eating. So the body, demand again, back to demand. It evolved to say, wait a minute, if I see fat, I'm gonna, no, I'm not gonna see fat. I'm gonna eat the thing that gives me the most energy possible. And that's fat. So that's why we ended up with the craving for fat back then, because we knew instinctively that fat produces more energy. Electrochemically, it does. Okay? And if we store that, we can store fat. But then now, it's not that we're going hungry, 3-4 days a week or something. We don't do that. But like I told you, the body takes thousands of years to change. So we still have that like that just, and commercially, companies like the one I showed before, pizza and all these things, taking advantage of that, the craving for fat. So fat and sugar, look at kilos. I used to work for Mars. Mars takes kilos. I know what the formula is for kilo. No, Skittles. It's just fat, sugar, and food dye. That's it. Cheap stuff. They make a ton of money on that because children are hooked on that. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. All right. Where you start? Oh, that's another one. That just recently, about a few months ago, right? I'm saying that when you think about breakfast, what comes to mind? Pancakes, bacon and eggs, maybe oatmeal or a blueberry muffin. What about the hot cup of ramen noodles? Here's what else you need to know about. Start your week smart. It's happening now. We're being bombarded with that message. Yeah. I call this the function, cardiomyopathy, peripheral neuropathy, chronic fatigue. You name it. I mean, gosh, it's a long list. All of them are why? Because no energy with all cells dysfunction. Brain cells, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, radiation affects this bonds I'm telling you about. Watching this one, the statistics. Now, this is old stuff. It's worse now. Watching this one now. A lot of radiation. This is microwave radiation. Okay? Start with the cell phone and give you the numbers. Just look at the relative numbers on it. The absolute numbers don't, they're small. Cell phone minimum, but that's way back then. Now it's a little high. Cell phone. Premature aging on pine needles. At this level, you can see aging on pine needles, which is just a little bit more than cell phone. At 0.05, look at what's happening. Headaches in children. Okay? Not much more. 0.05. Relative numbers, though. Don't worry about the actual number. Relative numbers. 0.1, they said it's twice as much. Look at what's happening there. In Germany, they're trying to block that. Laptop Wi-Fi. Sperm DNA is being affected at 1 milliwatt per square centimeter. That's the density. Okay. Headaches, look at this. Now it's 2.5. At 4, look at the changes. DNA damage in cells at 6.
That was.
Well, let's finish on this one. Again, just appreciate the relative numbers, okay? Smart meter. I'm sure we all have a smart meter by now. Very smart. It's funny. My background in General Electric, I used to be the manager for artificial intelligence and Honeywell, both Honeywell and GE. And now everything's AI, right? It's funny. It's not AI. They're using statistical means. It just looks like it's smart. It's just the computer being fast enough to do crunch numbers. But they've got AI. Oh, it's AI based. It's so funny. Funny. Marketing is so peculiar. They say, what? Used to be the word natural before, right? You put the word natural, it will sell more. Look at this one. That's the last one is the one that's I hope it's an eye opener.
What is
Will
it?
you read
Yeah,
that?
read
Well,
it.
we can't
We
see
can't
it.
do
Oh,
it.
I see. That's just so small.
Go back to the black.
Yeah, this is the last one. This is Canon US 600 to 1,000 micrometer per watt, microwatts per square centimeter. This is what's allowed in the US for radiations. Power lines, towers, and thermal radiation, antennas, microwave antennas to send communications on, they're allowed up to 1,000 microwatts per square centimeter. All right, laser furniture, we'll start wrapping it up, okay? 4 hours, eh?
Well, I have to get back to the other two in a minute.
Okay, electronic forces make molecules out of atoms, right? Well, they tend to come. Electrons are, are clouds. Electrons are clouds of energy, the type of that. Electronic waves are created by the electron movement. You remember that little video? Move the electrons that creates the wave itself. The electron is doing it. The motion is the motion of current. All chemical reactions require an exchange or sharing of electrons. That's just every chemical reaction, all of them, whether it's inside the body or not, doesn't matter. Electromagnetic fields affect the electron clouds and molecules, causing physiological change. So now we're connecting that to physiology in the human body. DNA is held together by electron clouds. I showed you the hydrogen bonds. They can be broken easily, or at least damaged, bent. DNA can damage by EMF and chemicals. I know we're focusing a lot on EMF, but chemicals also, especially like in food, right? Environmental also. These fluorescent lights are really bad. They run at 60 hertz. 60 hertz is not good for us, for the brain and the spinal cord. Mitochondria uses electrons to produce ATP. We covered that quite a bit, right? ATP molecule is essential for life and death. Now, EMF can damage the mitochondria. So you can put it together there, right? So we have to manage EMF exposure, right? EMF can alter the ATP molecule structure, the shape of it. Yeah, mitochondrial dysfunction leads to disease. So that's kind of a summary. Now let's talk about what can we do to protect ourselves so we protect the mitochondria, okay? So we can use, that's what we use in the office, for example. We have a machine called Maxi. It generates pulse electromagnetic fields. So you lie down there, and it's recharging the mitochondria using the EMF itself. But we selected an EMF that is congruent with the way we're built, at least in the nervous system. Then we use EMF. That's me, by the way. Look at it. No gray hair. This is from about 20 years ago or something, right? I don't know. But this is another EMF generator. Okay. I'll show you a little bit more about that, why we do that. That creates, because you're running electricity through wires. You remember, if the electron runs through the wire, it creates a magnetic field. So I'm generating magnetic fields. Then I use the opposite of that. You remember the Faraday, the magnet moving, it creates electricity. That's how it induces currents inside the body, going the other way. Now this is, Robert Becker in New York. He discovered that if you have an injury, watch polarity, even at the tissue level happens the same thing. If you have an injury, the injury side becomes positively charged. The body is supposed to be negative charge, okay? Just like in the mitochondria. And so he coined the term current of injury. Every injury, whether inside or outside, the polarity changes in that injury due to inflammation. So how can we handle this? Well, you can use chemical means, that would be the shotgun, or you can work on the electronic means by pushing electrons into it. So that's how we do in the office. We use electronic means to help healing. Most of them are inside, from ulcers in the stomach. So that's the reason why we do that. We use it by running electricity through the wire, pushes electrons into the injury site or the pain site, right? Shoulder pain, inflammation, any inflammation. We also can use laser for that. Light is a form of energy. So we use photonic energy to accomplish the same thing. Recharging the mitochondria. That's me in Japan, in a training seminar, using a laser to demonstrate how you can heal an old scar tissue, shoulder surgery. Vagus nerve, very important nerve, oh gosh, huge. So again, there's a way of, if there's dysfunction of the vagus nerve, you can use energetic means to balance the problem of the vagus. This is one of my lasers with. He's a dentist in Tokyo, Japan. Now he's using the laser to recharge the mitochondria and the vagus nerve. You also have mitochondria. Okay? If it's a vagus issue, then we work through that and recharge the mitochondria in that particular tissue. Healing with the vibration, talk about vibration too. That's Dan, you know more than I do about these things. Yeah? So that would be, yeah, frequency and intent is equal healing, no question about that. But for that, you have an expert right there and then. Okay, so how do we protect ourselves? Yeah, we remove or minimize exposure. Look at this, we're right in the brain. A brain that is forming at that point. Gosh, that's really not worse. Or people have the headset, wireless headset. Not wireless. For example, in my office at home or whatever, my mouse is wired. The computer is wired. I use Cat 5, Cat 6. It's wired to the router. I don't use the Wi-Fi. It's wired. With wire, you don't have the Wi-Fi coming in there. Okay. And, yeah, you must remove exposures. Things you can do actually to protect yourself. This is what I use when I travel from plane, airplane. The airplane has a lot of EMF. Yeah. And this is not just any cap. This has a mesh of silver threads inside. Okay. So it acts as what's called a Faraday cage. It blocks EMF. EMF cannot go through it. Any metal mesh, a certain mesh, but silver is nice for blocking. So when I wear that, my brain is clean. I have no EMF on that.
What's it called? Your hat.
Where do you get one?
Yeah, it's
That's from Lamb.
There it is.
Lamb, yeah. She bought it for me. I don't know.
Use gold energy for a discount.
What?
It's lambs, right?
Lambs.
Here's a symbol of lamb there. This is the name of the company. And she bought it for me. You pay what? $100 or something. But yeah, it has a mesh. The reason I'm bringing it up because you can get all sorts of devices. Even shields on top of the bed, like a mosquito net type of idea. Some people are so electrosensitive that they have to have, really isolate a lot. It's a small, it's a town, no, it's a village now. It's a village, I forgot where in the US, that the whole village was designed on purpose with no EMF at all. No Wi-Fi, no cell phone, nothing. There's some people that are extreme case that they have to go there. They just can't handle being in the city. We're bombarded by, this EMF all over the place. And that's, I forget the name of the location. But you see, there's underwear also. I broke my head. I can show you my underwear, but I think you get the picture. It's sort of, it's just like an underwear. You can cover the smart meter with a Faraday cage, straight like I did in the cap, right? Doesn't have to be silver. Any metal will do it, the metal mesh. Okay. You can Google, you search in the internet, Faraday cage for smart meters. It's like a little cap that you can put on the meter. That will block the EMF from coming to your house. So you may want to put the shield, the meter facing your house, so it blocks the house. Right? Unless you want to play games with the power company. See the whole thing so they can, oh my God, these people are not consuming anything at all. Okay, so same thing on the computer. in this case, using a stainless steel mesh. Okay, it works like a Faraday cage. That's the term for it, Faraday cage. The materials too. You can buy materials. Some you can even put in the wall. There's wallpaper made for that also. You can wallpaper your bedroom and blocks EMF coming into the bedroom. You spend so much time in the bedroom, right? Meters. Oh well, these are the hats in there. You get the pictures. A lot of that. How do we measure it? You can measure, find out the sources. This is the one I use myself. But there are almost different kinds. This is called the tri-field EM meter. Tri because it measures radio, magnetic, and electric fields. Okay. You have one. What brand is that?
This is the Safe and Sound Pro.
The
Safe and Sound Pro.
So that's another one. Yeah, many different kinds, you know. And this is made in Utah. Anyway, so that's with this. Turn it on. You can hear that. Okay. I'm getting close to the. I'm going to use it right now. The microphone.
Check your computer.
The computer too. That's yeah. Look at this. You can't see the needle. In certain areas of the computer would be more than others. Okay. These laptops, because it's LED displays, it's a lot less than the old. You remember the tubes? We call it CRT. But you know what? Just like any language. I'm a member of the language. I spend a lot of time looking at language and ads. CRT stands cathode ray tube. Ray. You're looking at the TV, you're bombarded with electrons because it's a ray. But we say, oh, it's a CRT, so we can ignore that. We say, no, it's a cathode ray tube. Oh, wait a minute, I don't know about that. It's radiation. Okay? You run the finger through the old CRT, you run the finger, it starts. That's an electron hitting your finger. And you had children right there looking at the TV, old TV set. The parents didn't know that. They didn't know the danger of that. It just blew my mind. You know, come on, it's a cathode ray tube. But you know, we use language in different ways to hide things, right? My ex-brother-in-law, he likes to hunt. Like I said, being a foreigner, I enjoy language, you know, philology, semantics, and all that. And then he says, I dropped a deer last weekend. I said, what do you mean? You didn't tie it up well enough in your car or something? He looks at me and says, what do you mean? You know, how do you drop something? I don't understand that. He said, no, he was finished, but he didn't want to say that. I said, oh, you killed one. He was not. They don't know what the other word kill. They're killing a deer, right? Oh, I dropped a deer. Come on, give me a break.
I didn't buy a tag.
All right, wait. Things you can do. This is constant. Well, it's difficult to see. Konstantin Korotkov. I want you to search also on the internet. Konstantin Korotkov. That's me here, and that's my wife Sharon in the back. They were in New Mexico a long time ago, and he developed a machine that uses the plasma discharge on the fingers to do diagnosis. It's used through Gaia now, Gaia. Not this machine, this is a prototype. This is what I was working on to get the FDA approval for Constantine. And it didn't work, but I didn't get the FDA approval. The FDA said, you want to do what? No chemical to do diagnosis and do, you know, in their minds, if there's no chemistry, how can you do something for healthcare, right? And this is a long time ago again, so it just didn't work. But with this machine, he was able to measure the discharge. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Talk about energy. Wake up. the mitochondria died here in the system. All right, so let me just verbally, well, that's me. No, I'm here.
You're not sharing your screen anymore because you lost power.
Yeah. I think I was winding down there. There's a couple of references I wanted to show you actually. I think I wrote one here because I didn't have time to put it in the computer. This one just came out a few months ago. It's called We Are Electric by Sally Abbey. We Are Electric. I got it about 3-4 months ago. I strongly suggest that because it's very current. She's like is integrating them number of things. She goes back all the way to the Big Bang also to today. So we are electric. Bob Becker, I'll tell you about Becker, the injury. He wrote a book, Body Electric. But Body Electric was about 25 years ago or something. This is the updated version of that, if you will. Okay, come on. So it's not. If it comes, oh, there it goes. Okay. How come it's not sharing? I'm on, but it's not. I guess I lost the connection to the Zoom. It's not coming out.
Yeah, you lost the Zoom connection.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's Zoom. Join. Sorry about that. How are we doing in time? We need to stop here. Yeah, okay, overtime. Let me just show you a couple of the references that would be useful in this stuff. Okay, here we go.
Ready to go before.
Okay, now we're on.
Thank you.
Are you back?
Yeah. All right. Yes. Okay, so what he did was come out with the measurements and no, come on. Based on the discharge, he was able to do that diagnosis. In this case, was low here in that particular section, and that was this particular finger, and that was associated with a particular pathology on this patient. So he wrote this in one of the book, Human Energy Field, one time I constantly wrote. He's from Russia. I wrote chapter 10 in this book, Scientific Basis of Integrative Health. Linguist is a medical doctor from Johns Hopkins University. But it's integrated health. It has not just, I do lasers on it. So chapter 10 was lasers. But all people did EMF and homeopathics and all that stuff. So they were interested in my book. Evolution 5G, we want 5G. That's, yeah, way back then, we had 1G back in 81. Has been progressing there. So why did we do that? Because it was a business meeting, right? People took about 15 minutes to download a video clip back in 1G. Now people want more and more and more. No, it's going to take 10 seconds. No, I want 5 seconds. So what are you going to do if it takes 5 seconds? There's 10 seconds. The 5 second saving, you're going to do something else or do exercises or something? I don't know. It's just the idea of more, right? So in 5G, we are on the microwave, on the right side. But Schumann resonance, you have seen the pulse of the Earth, right? Into the light in the ground. In fact, in the space station, they have a generator. to generate Schumann frequencies there. They're not exposed to them, they're out there, right? It's a few months, so that's the problem. That's the sun on the left side. You see how it deflects? This is the Earth magnetic field. The sun sends a pulse magnetic field. And just like anything else, it can be pushed. Okay? So this has been pushed in there. So we're exposed to more than just in the human body, right? Nearby, this roof, lights and all that. Look at it. This is the sun, right? This is the Earth right there. These are different planets. Now, just appreciate what's going to happen. Look at the size of the sun compared to the planets. All right? Now, that's the sun here. This is Arcturus. See the size change? Now, that's the sun. Now, this is Antares. Arcturus is way down there. You can't see it anymore. And that's just in our galaxy. It's like a building. We all know. This is Andromeda. But look at the shape, beautiful. All the different stars and start being formed. Stars usually form on the outside. Okay, my computer shows, but the stars are usually formed on the outside when it's spinning much faster. But there are 200 billion galaxies so far. That's 5% of what's measurable. Okay, only 5%. We estimate about 200 billion galaxies, not stars, galaxies. Each galaxy usually is about, let's call it Milky Way for a moment. Not that Milky Way, the other Milky Way, this one. This Milky Way, this is flat, right? How can we, in picture, we see a plate? Who took the picture? You can't. You realize that? We are inside the Milky Way, so when you look at it, we look at flat. But there's so many diagrams and pictures showing photographs, even like a dish, right? It's the shape of a dish, but you can't see it, but we're inside the dish. That's Andromeda. So we have intergalactic fields also, we're exposed to that. All right. The Milky Way is about 100,000 light years in the size, 100,000. And we're somewhere about 45,000 light years from the center. 100 billion stars. Most stars are bigger than the sun, really. They all emit EMF wave. So we're exposed to that. Horoscope, anybody? The Milky Way is about 1,000, that's about 100,000 light years. EMF straight 180,000 miles per hour, that's the speed of light. So things take years to reach that, right? You want to see the past? Go outside, look at the sun, that's the past. That's not the sun, that was 9 minutes ago, right? The universe contains about 200 billion galaxies, so the universe contains about that number of stars on the average, plus minus 10, 15 or so. Talk about the intention, right? You remember that study that was way back. Physiological and molecular genetic effects of time-varying electromagnetic fields in human neuronal cells. That was done, published by a study done in NASA a long time. I suggest you check on that. It's a free publication. You can get it from the NASA. Mitochondrial, the whole textbook. Now, finally, mitochondrial dysfunction, neurodegenerative disorders. I like that one because I'm focused a lot on nerve, the brain, spinal cord, and that kind of stuff. That's my main focus. Check on this guy, William Tiller. He just passed on a couple of years ago. But he wrote a bunch of books, but in particular, The Emergence of a New Physics. Look at this. Conscious acts of creation. Talk about the intention that I was talking about. He's a PhD in physics, by the way. He's not some philosopher babbling around. He's doing experiments with intent. He had a beaker in a Faraday cage, no EMF coming in, with a pH meter, and he said, watch on this one, because they tell you how little we know about what the intent can do. Imagine a Faraday cage, there's a beaker with water in there, no life, right? No life, everything is alive. But The party line says water is not, it's inanimate, right? Oh boy, do they know. Put a pH meter in there, okay? Inside the front of the cage, and with intent, you can increase the pH by 1 unit. How is that possible? So meaning intent is more than, and here the catch, intent is more than EMF, more than electromagnetic fields. It's just it's not measurable. That's the problem. And Taylor has done all sorts of experiments to show that intent is a form of energy because you can move things with it, okay? And it's not all of it is measurable, only a portion of it. So that's kind of how much we eventually, hopefully, we can measure more. Konstantin Korotkov is doing similar work. This is genetic roulette. Talk about genetic engineering. For humans, I wouldn't try that. Tesla, he's one of my heroes, of course. Anything with Tesla, you better check it out. You see how we're brainwashed? Look at this thing. Radio frequency research done by funding matter, okay? The non-industry studies. EMF had no effects, 70%. No effects in 30%. The other one, if you're funded by industry, is the opposite, okay? Yeah. This is my pet peeve, it's just what's happening to us. Kind of more guns, violence, this is how we're forming the future. Yeah, it's go to a gun show, you see the children enjoying it, smiling. Mother's Day, that was recently actually, Mother's Day, there was a sale on cartridges, bullets. Yeah, it's happening. Mitochondrial dysfunction shows up in so many different ways, including violence, including suicide. It's because it affects the brain. That fogginess and it's very ubiquitous, it's very insidious. Okay, shows up in so many different ways that's a problem. And we call it something else, it's aging or something. No, we're supposed to live. The body was designed to live at least 120 years from this structure here, where we are. That should be on the average 120. We shoot ourselves on our own foot. But the brain can be fooled very easily. You see that? That's a static picture. Does it look static to you? No. Brain is so very dumb. The brain is very dumb. You can fool it so easily there. Look at advertising. Talk about that. I like advertising, both text and pictures, because that's a reflection of where we are in the society, culturally. Because you see, the salespeople, companies, they do surveys and research and all that, and they get a pulse what will sell. And then they come up with ads for that. So I have you guys see photos. This is some of my photos in there. Look at this, doctor, beard, white coat, the woman is listening. Doctor, woman listening. I want you to check in the internet, Paula Williams. She spoke on the TED. It's a powerful video. Paula Williams. The title is I Lived as a Man and as a Woman. She's a trans. And powerful. We're looking at, you see, she explains, when I was a man, this is how I was treated, and this is what happened. Now I'm a woman, look at what happened. These also cases and examples. Why is that the case? She kept asking me, how come? What causes that? How come, what's going on there? So that's talk about rad, consciousness, and obviously experiment with so many of them there. So we have to wish, very careful about the cleaning, right? No cleaning, no hospital, no all that. Something happened, sure enough. You have to be careful what you wish. You know, nature is so beautiful once you look at it from all the different, I guess, layers of knowledge. This is the back of the retina of a rat. And if you start noticing it, this is the optic nerve comes out in the blind spot. You start looking at the different astrocytes. It's called astrocytes. Astrocytes are part of the immune system. Trying to ban all these astrocytes in there. Trying to manage the health of the eyeball. And the stuff that's happening, this is blood supply and all this stuff. This is the rat. You look at the same thing from the same perspective of the human body. My goodness. So I'm a creationist, by the way, because I stumble on that issue all the time. See, how is this part? The party line Dawkins is that God wrote the book, God doesn't exist, and no creation, everything is Big Bang is supposed to happen, all these things. And his premise is random collisions. Things happen with random collisions, things like DNA, evolution, and all that, probabilistically. Hey, I know about statistics and probability, okay? When I look at the human body, there's absolutely no way. Or even the shape of the galaxies. Flat galaxy? Big Bang was an explosion. Why would the explosion be flat? Just think about it. It just doesn't make sense, right? A lot of galaxies are flat, not all of them. Nevertheless, three-dimensional. But you start peeling the onions, you start questioning that. Why? Why is the case? Who is driving? What's the agenda? What's the agenda behind? There's an agenda, yes. So I hope you live at least 100 years. Should be 120, yeah, that's right. But she's enjoying it. She's making more games. So I appreciate your attention. Sorry to run it over, but that's keep asking good questions. Thank you very much.
Nelson, thank you so much. It's worth it to run over with you when you're speaking, that's for sure. I feel smarter already. I want to make, is Carol Louie still here? Okay, well, she's got a flyer in the back. She's having her reincarnation symposium. Is it next weekend?
Yes.
And she's got a flyer in the back. She's got a sale going on right now for tickets for people who haven't bought them yet. And so I invite you to check with her on that. Those who are in person and anybody online can contact Carol on her, what is her website, Carol? CarolLouie.net. So thank you, folks. It's been a wonderful meeting, and we've got a potluck lunch out there. And again, Nelson, thank you so much for another wonderful presentation. We want to come back. We want you to come back for the other 2 hours that we haven't heard yet, because we know there's a lot more to it than you were able to get into today. Next month we have Jeffrey Long as our speaker, who's got the world's. He's a physician. He used to be in Louisiana. He's now in Kentucky, and he has the world's largest database on near-death experiences. And so it's going to be a really wonderful presentation there.
Nelson?
And thank you all. That's the end of today's session, and look forward to seeing you next month.
Hey, Tom, can
You want to ask questions?
I don't want to ask questions. I just want to say something.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I've always been a very curious person, and always curious about how to have more energy. And I noticed when my energy levels were low, so I studied everything. And so I went to the Building Biology Institute and studied to be an electromagnetic radiation specialist, which I don't work with it right now. I just do it. I just did it for my own health, my family, and my friends. And so I worked in my house, and I mitigated the EMFs in my house. So I hardwired my internet, and My phone in my house is always off, my cell phone. And I use it more on WhatsApp and calls on WhatsApp, and I hardwire my phone too. And I also use the EMF canopy on top of my bed. And I just wanted to tell you guys that it really works, because I can tell the difference, and I use the Aura Ring, so I was able to measure, I have some of the biological markers. My heart rate variability raised, my respiratory rate has improved. My heart rate was always improved, and as well as of my husband, so not only mine, with all the mitigation. So it does make a difference, because sometimes you might think, oh, EMF does not affect me. Well, it's like we're frogs slowly being cooked in the microwave. So once you removed yourself from that, so your body kind of gets used to it, so it's your normal to have no energy. You don't realize, but if you think back 10 years ago or longer, right, then you realize that you have more energy. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and it's very important to mitigate the EMS in your house.
Thank you. Thank you.